What's going on, guys? This is Hot Take Hockey, and it's John here. Today, I'm going to be doing the 2018-2019 season preview for the Boston Bruins. So for you guys that know me well, I am a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, but I'm going to show you guys today that I can put that fandom aside and analyze this team quite well. So for the Bruins, great season last year. I'm going to talk about everything that's going towards their season upcoming. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, like our videos if you like them, and then comment either way, whether the video is good or bad. We want to hear your opinions, where we can do better, and then comment on the topic on hand. So for the Bruins, if you're a Bruin fan or you know much about the Bruins, you know much about hockey, just shove those comments in there below, and let's get the video started.
To Krug, Pasternak, shot scores! A redirection, Bergeron in front, and the Bruins score two. McAvoy goes down to the half boards, keeps coming, walks in and scores! Get to the outside, Zdeno Chara scores! Top shelf!
So the Boston Bruins going into the 2018-2019 season. Of course, based off what you guys know, off of what I know, and off of just looking at those clips itself, of course the Bruins had a successful season. Patrice Bergeron, David Pasternak, and Brad Marchand were the best line in hockey last year, and possibly could be the best line again this year. They put up goals, they put up points, they were one of the most dominating on the power play. So it was a hard matchup to line up against the Bruins itself just because of that top line. Their depth definitely came to play. They had a great fourth line with Noel Acciari and Sean Corrali, but it's gonna change, right? Guys like David Pasternak, Jake DeBrusk, and Charlie McAvoy, the expectations are gonna be high for them again. Tuukka Rask is going to expect to be a top 10 goalie. NHL Network just ranked him at 8 in their top 10. He's going to have his expectations up there. He's probably going to get a little less games played because they did sign Yaroslav Halak. But if you look at the Bruins, they're definitely a scary team. All of last year, they competed with the Lightning and Leafs for top of the Atlantic all year. It was a race till the finish. They ended up playing the Leafs in the first round. You know how that went. They lost a tight series to the Lightning. I know they lost in 5 games, but the Bruins did play really well. It's more because, and I'm not saying this because of my bias at all, I'm saying this because the Leafs took the Bruins to a hard Game 7, where the Lightning kind of had it a little easier with the Devils. I'm not saying Taylor Hall didn't do great for the Devils, but the Lightning did have it easier. The Bruins, had they taken care of the Leafs a little sooner, I think they could have had a great opportunity in going to face the Washington Capitals. But to me, that's in the past. The Bruins are a team that are still going to be present for the next few years. I know Krejci's getting older. Backus is past his prime. Chara's going to retire in a couple of years. I know we're getting to that point. But like I said, the Bruins still have young guys coming up. Jake DeBrusk and Charlie McAvoy are both 22 and under. They have guys like Danton Heinen. They have Anders Bjork. They have Ryan Donato. They have these guys coming up, and they're actually really good. Ryan Donato did not get that much playing time. Only played a game or 2 in the playoffs, I believe. So there hasn't been many looks at guys like that. For Rebecca Karlsson, he's from Sweden. I think he's 21 years old. And you're going to see in my lineup, I actually have him potentially cracking this lineup this year. They got Chris Wagner in free agency. They got John Moore in free agency, who's a pretty underrated puck-moving defenseman. So for the Bruins, just on prediction-wise, where I think they can go, I definitely see them making the playoffs again, of course. but it's hard for me because just looking at the big picture, the Bruins didn't add a significant piece. They tried to go after Tavares. I think they were slowly trying to go after JVR, but I don't think that caught too much friction. So they didn't get big names. Like those are the two names I just said, John Moore and Chris Wagner. Those are the only two guys they got, like skater wise. Obviously, like I said, they got Halak. So they lost Rick Nash and they lost Riley Nash. They lost both Nashes. So they lost Tim Schaller. I mean, Tim Schaller's not a big breakout guy, but he did play really well for the Bruins last year. He was big on that fourth line and played a lot of third line minutes towards the end of the year when there were injuries as well. So that's what I have to look at. So right now, we're going to talk about in predictions, like I said, in September. September's already here, but I have to say the Bruins will probably finish in that third Atlantic spot. Just based off what I see right now, I know a lot can change, and the Bruins' defense is really underrated. Like, for example, if the Leafs don't improve and their defense is as bad as last year, I would definitely say right now, yeah, Bruins in that second spot or even potentially the top spot. The only thing I have to say for the Bruins right now is Krejci was not looking good towards the end of last year. Backes is definitely slowing up. If they're only a first-line team on forward, that's going to be a problem. But other than that, the Bruins are one of the deepest teams in the Eastern Conference. If not, we can talk about the NHL. So I just want to go through the lineup, of course, and then we can talk more in depth on what each player can do. So that first line, like I said, Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand, that's a given. They're obviously going to start the season with the best line in hockey. David Krejci, I have playing with Jake DeBrusk and Danton Heinen. So as I said, they did lose Riley Nash. Rick Nash, they only got towards the end of the year, obviously at the deadline. So they never had him towards going to the year. But I think Krejci, having two young guys on his wing, Heinen and DeBrusk, both had great years last year. If they played beside Krejci, that could help his cause a lot. And I think because of center depth, got teams like Toronto, teams like Pittsburgh, you want to match up center-wise and get those matchups correctly. So I think putting David back as center instead of Forbaka Karlsson or like Sean Corrali, I think that could be really beneficial for this team, putting Backus on that third line spot. And then Anders Bjork and Ryan Donato on his wings. Like I said, another two young guys that could really help a veteran keep up the pace of what is a really fast NHL today. And then Forsbacka, Karlsson, Achari, and Corrali at the fourth line spot. Achari and Corrali were a great duo last year on that fourth line. Like I said, Tim Schaller was that other guy. I think Karlsson could come in. I'm just going to say Karlsson. Forsbacka Karlsson's too hard to say, but I think he could come in. The other guy, like I said, is Chris Wagner, veteran, played for Anaheim. He's played for quite a few teams. Honestly, if I'm being honest, couldn't name like half the teams he's played for because he has been jumping up AHL and NHL a lot of his career, but he is a good fourth line guy. They could definitely use him for depth. And then to jump into defense and goaltending, Charlie McAvoy with Zdeno Chara, that was a great defensive pairing. Brandon Carlo, if you guys remember, was actually hurt in the playoffs. They announced it like early April that he was just done, so he didn't even play in the Leaf series or the Lightning series. But he will slot in the top four with Krug. Kevin Miller was there, and I'm not saying Kevin Miller's a great player, but he did hold his ground for the most part. So I think he will at least earn the fifth or sixth spot with John Moore. John Moore's obviously going to get a start in the top six to start for sure. Like it's no question because he just signed a 5-year contract with them. But the only problem with that is you have guys like Adam McQuaid and Matt Grzelcyk on the outside. So as you can tell, compared to my other previews, usually I would have 2 extra forwards and extra defensemen. But in the Bruins case, they have 8 NHL defensemen right here. That I think, I'm not sure about Grzelcyk, but every other guy in that top 8 would need to go through waivers. So whether or not Grzelcyk goes down, Grzelcyk at this point is very underrated and can be on an NHL roster. So we'll see what happens with the Bruins defense. Like I said, right now as it stands, they're one of the better defenses, if not like top 3 in the Eastern Conference right now, along with the Lightning, of course. And then their goaltending, Tuukka Rask. What can you say about Tuukka Rask? Tuukka Rask for Andrew Raycroft. Tuukka Rask can play 60 games if needed. He'll keep that save percentage up. He's one of the most consistent goalies in the league. Whenever he's not even on top of his game, he's still above average. And then Halak, obviously started for the Islanders, played in St. Louis, started his career in Montreal. On a 2.75 contract, that's quite the bargain. He could play 20, 30 games if need be. He probably will play at least 15 to 20 for sure, given his resume, as well as I think they want to give Rask a little more rest, because I think that had a cause in them losing to the Lightning in the second round. But just to give a big thought into the Bruins, I think if they make the playoffs, no matter like in what position, I think they could do damage. Like I said, I'm not being biased when I say this, but I do think the Leafs coming back in that series, if the Bruins had finished that in 4 or 5, we'd be talking about a whole new story. So the Bruins, if they make the playoffs again, they could do a lot of damage. I think they may have to add another piece on forward, like they did with Rick Nash towards the end of last year. But other than that, just looking at the lineup, I see the Bruins doing a lot of damage. So thank you guys. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. I will follow you guys back if you let me know. Slide in the DMs, or, of course, just comment below. And thanks for watching the video. The Boston Bruins going into the 2018-2019 season, I think they're going to do well for sure. I think 100% they're going to at least battle for the wild card. But like I said, I'd still have them for sure at 3 or 2 in the Atlantic right now. So thank you guys. Subscribe, like, and comment, and peace out.
This is Hot Take Hockey. Hot Take Hockey.